I can legally tackle you at the crotch level.
Yes.
Wait, no, that isn't so. What is up, guys? Welcome to I'm gonna do that every episode.
Every episode?
Every episode, unless I forget. So, radio. I like rolling my tongue like that. Anyways, guys, I'm Scott.
I'm Dustin.
Not Leonard Skinner again.
That was high school. That was a time.
Did they really call you that in high school?
Yes. I played football. I had hair like way past my shoulders.
Bro.
So yeah, and last name is actually Leonard. So long hair.
Did you play Sweet Home Alabama?
No.
Okay, well.
But I actually did have people in the crowds holding up signs like when I wasn't on the field, and they say "Play Freebird." Like
today, we're talking about a topic called the righteous man. Now, this is more of a man's video, if you want to call it that. And no, we're not being sexist. We're not throwing all these topics out there. We're talking about what it means to be a man. And a lot of you guys out there would be like, well, shouldn't you be like talking about a man and a woman and now they're equal? And yes, but at the same time, we're not equal in the fact of biology, and the fact that we are different. We're the same as far as a human being goes, but we're different in the fact that you have a man brain, you have a female brain, and we're going to act differently. And we have different roles to play. And I don't mean in the kitchen or at the work. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about from a psychological, physiological, and a theological point of view. Okay? So why don't you take us off, man? What's the first topic we're talking about in this?
First topic we're talking about in this is we're going to point towards relationships.
Dun, dun, dun.
So as he was talking about with the whole brain thing, the brains work different. I was listening to a sermon, and I want to say it was Andy Stanley. If y'all know who he is, he's the pastor of, I think it's called North Point Church, one of the biggest mega churches in the world. I think they're based out of California, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on it. I may be wrong about that, but I know he's big mega church pastor, world known all around the states, and he did a sermon on men and women, and I heard it put best by him as men's brains are like waffles. One square. We think about things one square at a time.
Yes.
I'm gonna accomplish this mission. When I get done with this, I'm gonna accomplish the next mission.
Yes.
And he said female brains are like a plate of spaghetti. Like, it's one noodle, but that noodle is all over the place, and it's everywhere.
I've heard a similar analogy, but it's the same thing. Men are like boxes, and women are like wires, right? We are in one box at a time, and you cannot get us out of that box easily.
Yeah.
And then women are like wires, because they could be here with the kids, and with this, and relationship, and then this, and then over here, and my makeup, and my job, and this. I'm like, oh my gosh! Slow down. So, but keep going. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I'm sure we all have now.
And I feel like getting that out of the way first would be one of the best things, because you have to know how, guys, you have to know how a female works, especially if you're in a relationship.
We're never gonna know.
He can tell you more about it because you are currently engaged?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I am.
He's currently engaged. I've been in quite a few relationships, but currently single at the time of this recording.
Ladies,
hey. No, I'm joking. But I feel like that would be that'd be a great point to kind of start off with. Is you have to understand, men. We have to understand that women, their brains are all over the place.
Yes.
Women, if you watch this video and you disagree or you have your own opinion or something.
No, please have your opinion.
Yes.
Because you're going to have one either way.
Please have your opinion.
Because they're wired together. All right, no.
and if maybe you can shed some light on a topic or something
please
I
do.
don't know,
yeah.
Please comment at this video. But I want to start off with that because saying this, men, how to treat your women. All right. Again, I'm single. I know you're probably going to think, well, what do you know about keeping a woman? This, that, the other. Look, I promise you, I have quite a few good life tips for you. This is a video I wish I had when I was younger, because I would have avoided so many other mistakes that I've made.
Now, quote here, we're not going to be telling you how to go get women. That's not the video.
That's not the video.
Because it's not going to work. Because I'm going to tell you what, first thing you need to know, women are different. Okay?
Way different.
Now, they all have similarities with each other, and so we're going to talk in generalization kind of way, but they're all different. Okay, so the way you approach a woman in one way, you know, might not work how you approach another woman in another way.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've met some pretty cool females that like they're this. They're like, look, if you take me out to dinner and then we can sit and chill the rest of the night, that's awesome and that's all I care about. Other women, they're like, no, well, you have to have a master's degree from Harvard and this, that, the other. And they have such high standards that, to me, wouldn't match my criteria. So, yeah. But women are different. You have to know your women.
When it comes to women, don't try to really figure them out, because
will not work.
It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. And men are simple. We really are. People are like, men are so complex too. No, we're not. Well, we are really simple. It's just you got to know how to work that simplicity. So, you know, like boxes, for example. If I'm watching TV,
that's your box.
Like that's the box that's going on right now. If I'm watching my YouTube videos, that's the box I'm in. You're going to have to really get me out of that box. If I'm in romantic box, if I'm in relationship box, and we're talking, having a conversation, that's what's going on. You know, I am a little ADHD, so I do jump around. So I might be in this box, then I might hop over that box, come back. But the boxes won't connect. They're just going to be hopping.
Yeah.
You know, women have this beautiful gift from God. I'm going to call it that.
I love the way you put
beautiful gift from God.
To be able to multitask.
To be able to multitask. And still remember things I did wrong 2 years ago. So, but that's the beauty of it. Now, but there's beauty in that, because women make up for a lot of things that men don't remember or aren't able to do.
Right.
And men are looking at me like, yeah, well, I'm a man and I don't need no woman. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
We all do. Okay, we do. Women keep us in check.
Then they keep us organized, man.
They really do.
I'm not organized.
That's my fiance. She's up my backside all the time, just like trying to keep me organized and keep me on schedule, and I forget half the things I'm doing in the day. And she's like, "Baby, you need to do this. Don't go do it now." And I'm like, "Oh." Yes,
and that was one of the biggest things with my last girlfriend that you know, I never want to speak illy on any of my previous girlfriends,
right? Because they'll come back and they'll put a tampon on the back of your truck. I mean, that's just mine. We'll talk about that later.
I want to hear that story, but
we'll have another video about exes in a minute.
But my very last girlfriend, she was like that. I was working at a place called Chevy Marketplace, and I was parking cars. And so I'd be out in the heat all day. I'm a heavier set man, and so if I don't eat, I will pass out. If I don't drink enough, I will pass out. And she would text me, even in her busy day. You know, she's huge into the church, which of course, me being a minister, I love. Huge into the church, being like going through schooling, taking care of her mom who was sick at the time. Or I say sick, her mom was injured at the time. Mm-hmm. So taking care of her mom, cooking food, dealing with church stuff, dealing with school stuff, and all of her own life and those life problems, she would still find time out of her day. Hey, Dustin, did you eat? Don't forget to drink. Don't forget to do this. And she kept me organized.
Yeah.
You know, I very much appreciated that aspect of her. And of course, you know, we wound up agreeing to go separate ways, this, that, the other. But, man, she kept me organized. That was beautiful. Yeah. So, men, if you're like, man, my woman is like, she's nagging me. She won't quit. Thinking from that standpoint, she's keeping you organized, brother. Mm-hmm.
Getting in a relationship and how to treat women in general.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we're not going to spend too much time on it, but I want men to understand this, okay? And I think
righteous men.
Yeah, there's the whole point of this being, you know, the Man's Day video talking about righteous men. And the fact that the way you treat a woman, whether you're, I don't like using the word religious, but whether you're a man of faith or not.
Man of God.
Man of God, man of faith, however you would like to word it, or not. There's still a way you need to treat women. Mm-hmm. And none of it is for them to bow down to you. None of it is for them to be degraded. None of them is for them to be disrespected or lowered than you. Okay? Women, you guys, we are equal and we are a team. And that means whether you're dating a woman or you're not dating anybody, just how you treat them. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I think that's what, you're like, well, you guys are just the odd, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of men who don't know how to. They're not raised how to. Mm-hmm. Or they're so... what's the word? Blinded by media culture of how to be. If you have seen our other video about porn, it's one of the big things of how men treat women. Statistically and psychologically, it's true. So, how the media depicts what a man should be, right? Quote unquote, is the whole reason why we're having a lot of the problems of sexual assault and sexual harassment in this rape culture, if you would like to call it that. I guess I don't like calling it that, but why these ideas are in place is because of the lack of knowledge and wisdom that is given to young men.
And it's sad because this is why you always hear. I always hear it, so I know that you always hear it. Women always say, "Well, where are all the good guys?"
Hi.
We're in the friend zone. Well, he's not, but I'm in the friend zone. Okay.
Well, hey, before I found my girl, friend zone. Friend zone. Crazy girl. Friend zone.
So it's these men that don't uphold these righteous standards, or I'll say righteous standards. They don't uphold a certain standard that ruin it for the rest of us. Because there's not going to be a lot of guys that they mind their manners. There's not going to be a lot of guys out there that respect themselves. That's the biggest part of it, is respecting yourself. Because if you respect yourself, then you're going to respect the way that you come off to a woman or to other people.
Yes.
And if you respect the way that you come off to other people, in turn, you're going to respect them.
You know, and real quick, while we touch on this, if we go to the next thing for men, if females are watching this, and guys both, okay, you're like, this whole thing about how, you know, this sexism about, you know, this whole thing about being man up. I have some people tell me that's a sexist term.
Yes.
Now, here's what I'm going to say. We're not going to get to the whole thing about it, but we'll talk about the man up theory, which is about, you know, if you see a young boy fall, you see...
I had to flex. I had to.
I'm going to ignore that.
I was manning up.
Oh, manning up. But see,
okay.
Apparently a lot of women think it's a sexist theory because of the fact that, you know, you tell a man not to cry. You tell a man not to do this. But yet when a young lady or your little girl falls and has a boo-boo, you go, oh, baby, oh, sweetheart, oh, I'm so sorry. Now, here's the thing. I think everybody should have tough skin and everybody should have sensitivity. Mm-hmm. I don't think a man should be judged if he cries. Mm-hmm. I don't think a woman should be judged if she's really tough and strong. Okay? Now, if you're taking steroids, man or woman, you need to check that. But you know, don't go against your biology. But at the same time, this whole standard that's put on people about how men should not be sensitive. Now, there's in the Bible it talks about it too. But in life, guys, there's a balance and there's a time and place for everything. I just spit everywhere. Anyways, there's a time and place for everything. Okay, so how you feel, you know, right now. Okay, if you're upset, now you don't need to be losing your crud at work and go crying to your boss. Not man or woman, you shouldn't be doing that. Okay,
handle your business.
But handle your business. But at home, all right, if you're with your significant other, or if you're at a time where you just break down, or even with your guys and you're with your guys in private and you just break down and have a brother moment, then that's fine. That's cool. Okay, you shouldn't be taught that you're a sissy or whatever the words are that are thrown out there. I don't believe in that. You know, at the same time, you know, you got to toughen up, both men and women. You know, now there is this standard that you know, men, you got to be the man of a household, but now that's a big thing, you know, for like women that are independent or like, well, why can't it be a woman in charge? Because now, you know, there are a lot of single mother households, and there's nothing wrong. They're very strong. And I don't think there's anything anything that's bad about that. But, whoopsies. But you know what I mean. And this is going to be a touchy subject. I do think, if possible, there is a very important thing to have a man and a woman in a relationship for a child. Sociologically, there's a lot of things that are beneficial from having a man and a female both in a household for son, daughters, kids in general. Right. But we're going to get a lot of debate on that. But hey, if you feel different, comment, like, subscribe. All right. But so talking about, you know, the man up. So guys, directed to you. Look, man, I don't care how the woman's dressed. Don't objectify women. Okay? And that's the biggest thing. Now, we're not going to talk about the ladies right now. You know, it's up to you, and I want to have another. We're gonna have some guests on the show soon, coming up closer to the holidays. Young ladies and feminist movements, and a lot of people that I have friends of mine, and college and grad students, and even the professors that I'm gonna have on the show with us, which is gonna be really cool. But they're gonna talk about that from the female perspective, and I think it'd be right to have a female talk from a female perspective, and two guys talking about it, because we only know from what we see. We're not females. Exactly. But at the same time, from a man's point of view, if you see a girl dressed out there, okay, I don't care if it's the summer, bikini, whatever, it don't matter. You respect her. You don't be idolizing her, and don't be judging her when it's your own thoughts that you need to control.
Yes. And I can say, speaking from personal experiences, I mean, especially as a high schooler. All right, look, at the time of this recording is 2018. I graduated in 2016, all right? Not too long ago.
Yeah, more than you.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But,
yeah. Woo!
But I remember having this one moment where I felt really close with God, and I really,
Yeah.
my quiet times were going great. My prayer life was going great, man, and it was like God and my life actually mixed. All right, and I know a lot of people like to separate that, but no, I think it goes in very well together. I remember as a high schooler, I was telling my friends, I was walking down the hallway, and don't get me wrong, I've objectified women before. I was like, man, she looks fine, man, this, that, the other.
We
and
all
just kind of having that
We still do.
What a
times.
typical worldly man would talk about when seeing an attractive female.
Yeah.
But I specifically remember just being very close with God, having my prayer life straight, having my quiet time straight, and I'm walking down the hallway and I see this girl and she's in these really tight, she was in leggings, and this shirt that just did not cover her backside at all. And so, all my friends are like, man, look at that, look at this girl. I leaned over to my friend, I said, dude, if I was her dad, I would probably whoop her and tell her go change before she came out my house. And honestly, I feel like that's how most of us should think. Not telling you how to think. You're your own entity, but in the same, that's how just being respectful of it. Now I know I've fallen from quiet times a few times. I've fallen from prayer life quite a few times, and in that, my views get obscured from time to time. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I never want to say that. But just your view of a woman, being an uplifting, righteous person, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Because I remember telling my friends, man, I want to go into ministry. Most of my friends dropped me after that. And speaking on these terms, being that guy that I would be the last one in because I was holding the door for everybody, even if they weren't in my group.
Yeah.
Like they'd come running in, I'd hold the door. Oh, thank you so much. Don't worry about it.
You get stuck there holding it for like, everybody, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, don't worry. No, don't worry. Go walk. Anybody else will take this? You're welcome. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? You're in the movie theaters and you're trying to walk in and like everybody's trying to walk in behind you. And
Yep.
You're over here like, yeah. Nope, I'm about to miss my movie. Yeah, y'all come in.
No,
yeah.
it's okay. We got 30 minutes of previews. Facts like the Bible. Is it a real historical document? All that. We'll talk about all those facts and the principles of it in another video. But it does talk about very good ways of how to treat a woman. Now, I hear you right now. It says a woman should be a servant to the man.
And should be submissive
to him. Y'all can't read it correctly, apparently, and don't know how to translate. Okay? So, what it is meaning and what it is mean. A lot of y'all take the Bible too literally.
Context.
Okay.
Always read into it.
What it is meaning, okay, is how to show respect to your husband or, to men, but mostly it's talking about to your husband in a marriage. And then how a man should treat the woman or the wife as God loves the church. Okay, now for those of you who don't like to be religious, if you want to call it that, how God loves the church, which means his people, okay, by constantly loving and treating them and telling them when they're wrong, which is very dangerous for us to do for women, but because we might not live, but because none of us like to be told we're wrong. Right. But the whole point of it is to show love to each other, and that goes both ways. It's equal love,
unconditional love.
That's the word.
That's what
highlight unconditional.
I think is it in the Greek? It's agape. Is that Greek?
I think
Greek or Hebrew. It's one of the two.
I think that's a Hebrew.
Hebrew word. Hebrew. All right. Yes.
Well, agape. Someone fact check us here.
Fact check us.
But I think it's Hebrew.
I think it's Hebrew. Agape means pure love, godly love. And if godly love, we can see in 2 Corinthians chapter 13 is the love chapter, and it talks about love is unconditional. It does not boast. It doesn't keep records of wrongs. And that is a big one that we'll talk about, when we do the female version of this video as well.
Yes.
But guys, you can't keep records of wrongs, because I know a lot of men that hold grudges. I used to hold a lot of grudges, and I've kind of just getting more in tune with Christ. I've trying to learn how to let some of those go. But for the most part, holding on to grudges, even holding on to past things, I've been very scarred by my past. Whether it be from dad issues, family issues, relationships, whatever, I've been scarred. And so holding on to those scars is the same as holding on to a grudge. If you hold on to those scars, then it's going to look worse for you in your relationships later on.
When Jesus said turn the other cheek, that didn't mean like, all right, it didn't mean just be a pushover. It meant show that, hey, I can take some more if you want. That's how I look at it. You know, people say, oh, turn the other cheek, keep hitting me to be a pushover, to be easy, and I was like, no, you went, that's all you got? You turn the other cheek back. You know, that's how I look at it, right? Yeah. So, but at the same time, there's a way to handle this. And I think this is a good transition into one of the latter things to talk about, which is anger.
Yes.
Okay, now you're like, well, you know, we could go on and on, have an own video about anger, but this is very important for a lot of men because I know a lot of men, and I have a young man. I'm not going to call his name out in here, but I've worked with him in some martial arts and things, and he's a friend of mine, and he's like 15 years old. He's taller than me, which not saying much, but he's taller than me. He's about almost 180. He's a pretty good sized dude. Yeah. He's a pretty advanced rank, but he was dealing with a lot of bullying and a lot of things at school and home, and for a while he had this temper. I mean, he still does, but he's a lot better now. But I've had a chance to work with him on some things. Because, see, if you guys didn't know much about me real quickly, you know, I went through a whole, I was a Christian phase. When I was 16, I became an atheist until I was 18 years old. I went through partying, drinking, smoking, drugs. Got into street fighting. I did cage fighting, but then that led me to doing street fighting. I had a bad temper. I've hurt some people, broken some legs. Not things I'm proud of. Okay. I had a very, 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 very bad temper between 16 and 19 until I got my butt handed to me and I got humbled real fast. And I wound up hurting someone that I really cared about. So I went through this anger and uncontrollable anger that all I want to do was just kill somebody. Okay. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, I got to the point where all I could see is red, you know, black out, and just keep pummeling until the blood was on. I couldn't tell whose blood was where. Yeah. You know, and I'm being graphic because that's how I felt, because that's how I know people feel. Yes. Especially a lot of young men. Women too, but because I'm talking to a lot of the guys out here, I know a lot of young guys, especially in the teenage age. If you're watching this, you're a teenager, you're going through high school or junior high even, you know, I know you experience anger, especially with puberty and coming up in age, and then being a young man trying to figure out your way, and then all these things that the social media is trying to tell you, man. I understand, we've both been there, and a lot of people do understand what it means to be anger, introvert, or extroverted. Either way, guys. So I say to say about this young man. So that's why I had a chance to work with him. And when I first saw him and we were working, you know, he'd be sparring and stuff, and then he'd keep getting hit in the face. He'd start losing it. He'd either like hit harder without control, or he'd just walk off because he was mad. Yeah. He got in a lot of fights at school, got suspended, things like that. So we had a talk, and his mom talked to me, and I talked to him, and I was like, hey, bro, we got to figure out something, because the way you are expelling this energy is not going to be healthy for you or anyone, and you're going to hurt people, and then you're going to regret it down the road. And so we worked on some things, and we'll go into details, but you know, we talked about, we put them in the bag. I was like, when you're mad, man, find a bag and just go at it. You know, when you're mad, hit the weights. When you're mad, pray about it. When you're mad, breathe. When you're mad, meditate. When you're mad, go do it and help someone else. Go leave the situation and go do something else that's constructive. Yes. Right? And you're like, well, that's easier said than done. Yes and no. Okay, so from a psychological point, you know, I'm not a psychologist, but I took 3 years of psychology in college, and I'm not saying I'm qualified, but I've got some little experience, and, and I've seen a lot of psychologists. More
experience than others.
Yeah, than just your basic person. And you've got to find an outlet that's healthy, because if not, you're going to wind up hurting yourself and others. But if you put and you direct that anger into a more constructive area, meaning if you got to work it out, if you get that testosterone for those guys, go to the weights, lift some weights, hit a bag, not the wall, trust me, hit a bag, okay, or cushion. You don't have a bag, put a bunch of pillows, put it on a wall, and just hit a pillow, okay? Something that you're not going to bust yourself up with, and let it out. If you got something going on, you find somebody to talk to. I don't care if it's your parents, your mom, which you probably don't want to. I understand. I didn't. I hid it from my parents or my mom really, really well. She never knew until like 2 years later. Yeah. And she was heartbroken. But I didn't want to. I finally confided in one of my best friends. And after I pushed him away, you know, and I hurt him in many different ways. And I finally opened up to him. And he was going through a lot of the same things in his own way. And so we were to relate and let that out. And then I had, you know, a God moment. And it brought me back to my faith. And we'll talk about that in a different episode. But what I'm saying with anger, you know, I deal with that a lot. And I still have times where I just but I got to the point that it scared me. how angry I was. Because it was like I could either cry and be upset, or I can go kill something. I can go do something, you know. And you've got to find a way to do that. And there are ways to do it. It just takes some practice. And you've got to tell someone. I don't care if it's your best friend, a brother, an uncle, family, not family. It don't matter. If you go off and talk to somebody, you know, a stranger, if you will, within reason. Okay. Don't go out to the street corner, right? Especially if you're a teenager. I'm not condoning that. It's not safe. But you know, find a way out, you know. And I know you deal with some anger stuff too, you know. But what's your advice for teens and guys who are struggling with anger problems, even young adults and things like that?
Man, I'm always gonna give what I guess most people would feel as the typical preacher answer. Is I can say from my personal standpoint, I understand, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
I had those thoughts of I was so angry, I was so hateful, I was so spiteful that I would think of ways of how to kill certain people. Like and this isn't, you know, trying to be funny. This isn't trying to be, oh, I'm more manlier than anybody else. It's just these are actual thoughts that go through my head. Now I know if
real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. What's with this thing about who could be manlier and who could have the better thoughts? Have you ever heard of that?
I have.
Man, I almost broke this guy's leg one time. Yeah, well, I killed 2 men before with 1 thumb. What? I don't care. It don't matter. Like, you know this whole, like, who can do the worst thing?
Trying to one-up somebody.
If you're doing that, shut up. All right, go on.
Honestly, and I feel that. I really do. Because,
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Because I even had, and I don't like to speak on a lot of internet beef or anything like that, or a lot of
He's not MGK.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no MGK. But, you know, this young man was being spiteful. He was cussing me out. Dude, just being all erratic. And at my younger days, now again, I'm only 21, but I conduct myself in a way that's different because I hung around a lot of older folks. Even though I wasn't hanging around the right people, I was hanging around older folks who are wiser and who have been there longer. And so, you know, even though I'm 21, this guy is around that age, maybe a little younger, maybe the same. I'm not even too sure. But I conduct myself a lot differently. I didn't cuss this guy back. I didn't do anything. But in my younger days, I would have. In my younger days, I would have wanted to fight him. I would have wanted to, you know, meet up right then and there. And I was that spiteful. I was that angry of a person. You know, like you, I would see red and I would go at something. Yeah. And luckily for me, God gave me football. And so I put all that into football.
He gave you that outlet, right?
Yes,
we're talking about that
outlet. You got to find your outlet. And then once football was gone, you know, after my middle school, I played 1 year of like Pee Wee football. And then high school, once that all was over and I couldn't physically work out or I could still work out, but I couldn't I didn't have that gym access every single day like I did at football. I couldn't actually hit somebody and it be legal.
I can legally tackle you at the crotch level.
Yes.
Wait, no, that isn't so.
You know, music is a big outlet for me. That's, you know, not only just writing and creating music, but to listen to a lot of music. You know, for me, people always ask, well, how are you a minister? But you listen to Slipknot or Slayer, or you listen to these heavy metal bands, or you listen to this vulgar rap music.
Those are weak. No, I'm just kidding.
And you listen to these vulgar rap lyrics and all these different things. How can you be this way, but you say that you're this way? And I say for me, you know, I also love scary movies. I understand it's an entertainment thing.
Yeah.
For me, listening to
that adrenaline rush.
Yes,
yeah.
But listening to heavy metal music or listening to these vulgar rap songs, I put them on when I'm angry because I can get away. I can be in my car and I can get away from everybody, and in a non-violent way, I can get all those emotions out. Or, you know, there's a one guy, he calls himself Kalen Raps. So you can look him up.
Yeah.
He does a lot of pretty much emotional type songs.
Yeah, it's really good.
I can get away and listen to his songs, and I can vibe to what he's saying. So instead of going out and punching something or going out and just being angry and raising all kinds of hell, you know, I get away and I escape with that.
Yeah. So, and last thing, guys, I want to make this last thing. We'll make it real fast. What you put in, what you get out. Okay. So now, what I'm saying is about that. Okay, if you're hanging out with the crowd that is doing up shooting up drugs every night, okay, or you hang out with a crowd that all they do is drink and party all the time. You know, I'm not saying not to be friends with people like that, you know, because there's a difference. But when you put yourself in a situation, okay, if you're around people that curse a lot, guess what you're gonna start doing?
Cursing.
Curse. I don't care if you're like, no, man, I'm good, homie, I'm good. It don't matter, because psychologically, your brain, your subconscious is gonna start doing that. Okay, we are an influence of our environment.
Right.
Okay.
What you hang around, you will become.
But we can control what environment. Well, within reason. We can control, once we get to a certain age, our environment that we choose to be around. Okay, and we're not gonna get to a big topic, but people talking about the ghetto or black or white culture and stuff like that. You can control your environment, not always, okay? You can't control the environment itself, but you can control sometimes, when a certain age, how you react in those environments, okay? So I can choose, if I live in the ghetto, to be ghetto, right?
Right.
I can choose in the ghetto to work my butt off and make it through it as much as I can until I'm 18, and then try to work my way up. Is it going to be harder? Yes. Is there government against me? Yes. Is there poverty? Yes. I'm not saying it's not there. We've both been in that side of things, okay? But there are ways out. You just got to work harder than some. It's not an easy thing. But what you get in still is what you can get out.
Yeah, and I'm a living testament of that. I mean, crap, I've lived in very low poverty areas. I've lived in the woods. I've lived in the hood. I've lived in these.
What was that thing we said in the last video? You were a hood hick.
Hood hick.
Hood hick. That's
hood
right.
Hick.
Hashtag hood hick.
I've lived in these environments, and so to say that there's not a way out, and I know some of y'all are gonna say, "Well, you're white." To me, that has nothing to do with it. What does white matter? I've walked up to a bunch of black people that I know, and they respect me with the same that they would, you know, one of their big dogs, you know, who is a black older male. And I know many of them, you know, that we all came up. You know, at this point, you know, I'm only a manager, but in the same, I went from having nothing, making lower than minimum wage, to now I'm a manager at this place. You know, I've my income's starting to come up. You know, wanting to record and do things like this, and then meeting up with the right people is one of the biggest things.
I'm gonna let him just preach for the rest of the video, and I'll see y'all in the next time. No, but thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yes.
We gotta end it here. We're all out of time. Yep. And I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but I hope you guys stayed with us or skipped through it or whatever you did. All right. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you do have any comments, you agree, you disagree, you want to hit us up, whatever, you can find us on the YouTube. Our Facebook pages and Instagram will be all in the description below. If you want to hit us up. If you have any ideas that you want to throw at us, sure, we already have a lot coming your way, but we'd love to hear you. If you have anything else, or you'd like to be a visitor on this show, shoot me an email at scottloftinaacting@gmail.com. Again, that is Scott Loftin, Loftin, acting@gmail.com. Hit me up with an email if you'd like to be a guest in the show. We are located in Shreveport, Louisiana. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Rated E Radio, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.